Good afternoon, Chandler Woods students. I am Mr. Rodriguez. I'm your art teacher, and as you can see, we're not in the conventional art room. This is actually my basement, and I've set up a little shop here, a little space where we can do some creating for the next couple weeks here. This place is normally reserved for working on music and sometimes doing art for me. I'll even show you, because I'm going to do this every once in a while. I'm going to whip out my phone cam and show you just kind of around for close-ups here. So you can see this is definitely my basement. There you are, there's the camera. All that, there's my cat. So just a couple things that I want you to just be aware of when we're doing this. If you've been to my workshops before, my painting workshops, this is going to be very much in that style. Kind of do what I do as I do, but obviously use your creative license. If you want to add something, if you want to add another tree or a shrub or whatever, please, by all means. A couple things I just want to say. Like I said, this is my basement. Directly right there is my furnace, so sometimes it'll kick on and make some noise. I have two children upstairs currently that like to run and scream and cry really, really, really loud, so you might hear them too. You also might hear the jingle of my cat's bell on her collar right there, so just don't be put off by that stuff, because you're probably going to hear it as we're going through these videos. We are actually going to do a painting that is of a sky, and if you're following my Instagram account, the Mr. Rodriguez's Art Room, you've probably seen the photo challenges that have been issued on there. Today's was show me your best sky. Students go out there, they take pictures of their skies, send it to me, I post it, and we share. So I thought, why not have a connecting theme here, and let's do a sky painting. Skies are one of my favorite things to paint, period. Usually that's my favorite part of the landscape painting right there. And so what we're going to do, and as we go along you'll see this picture pop up here. This is a picture that I took in my backyard after a storm, and this is actually a sunset. So first thing you need is, I have a canvas here, and this is a pre-gessoed canvas, which means I put a layer of white gesso over top to give it an absolute white. You don't need to do that. If you have a canvas, please go right ahead. Use it however you have it primed, or if it's not primed, whatever. As long as it's a decent white, you're fine. You can do this on a piece of paper. You can do this on a piece of construction paper. The only thing that I suggest, that if you're doing it onto a piece of construction paper, tape down your edges, because the paint will fold. So first thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to assess my brushes here. So if you don't have these size, it's not a big deal. It's just how I like to work when it comes to a landscape painting. First, you're going to want a big brush. It can be bigger than this. It can be about this size. It can be a little smaller than this. Whatever is your biggest brush is perfect. It's perfectly fine. What we're going to do is we're going to establish what's called a wash. And if we look at this photo right here, how I find the wash, well, there's a couple ways to find the wash, but how I find it is I try to look at the most overall color that you see, or the first color that your eye goes to. And the wash is actually a tone that is established throughout the whole painting. So if we're looking at this, there's a couple colors we can say. You can say blue, sky blue. Would you be wrong if you said that? No, you would absolutely not be wrong. You could say orange. Orange, perfect. That's kind of where my eye honestly goes right away. So again, you're not wrong if you choose that. Or some people might even say a dark green, which I'm going to let you choose one of those. We'll let it be your choice. I'm actually going to go with an orange wash here. And what I'm going to do is, because I said I'm going to use primarily my primary colors, I'm going to have to mix my secondary color, because orange is a secondary color. Which two colors make orange? I'm going to pretend you all answered that just correctly. Red and yellow. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this, and now I'm just going to start applying it to my canvas. I'm going to go in this direction right here, a horizontal direction, and I'm going to just do one light coat over the whole thing. So, just going to, look, this thing is a little janky. Kind of just apply it so it goes on like this. Now, you can see it right here, it's going on really thick, and it's kind of thinning out right here, and it's not really spreading that well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paintbrush here. I'm just going to add a little water to my brush, just like this. And now I'm going to go back. Now it spreads a little easier here. This is spreads a lot easier. So like I said, I'm not doing a super thick paint coat here. I'm literally just doing a light application here. Alright, so as you can see here, I've applied a blue and I've applied a white. What I'm going to do with my brush still dirty is I'm going to make a sky blue. The sky blue is a bright blue. So I'm going to take blue first, put it on my brush, and I'm just going to kind of apply right there. I'm going to take some white, maybe a little more white heavy right there, and you can see my blue turned into a sky blue. So now I'm going to take that, and where my horizon line is, which is right about here, you can see right where those pine trees are at. I'm going to make my line go straight across, just like that. This is where my bright part of the sky is going to be. And as I gradually work my way up here, it's going to get darker. So I need to make sure that my bright sky is right here. I'm going to take this and I'm going to flip my brush this way now. I made a skinny line doing this right there for my horizon line. Now I'm going to flip my brush this way, and I'm going to take it along like this. Every time I do the sky, I'm always going to keep my brush going horizontally like this. Okay? I want to make sure that my brush strokes are going with each other here. So I'm going to just apply this as I go along, and you're going to see it's going to start to blend with that orange. So you're not going to want to go too deep with it. Right there should be about good. It's kind of starting to get an orangey feel, but this is a alla prima painting. This is wet on wet, so it's going to blend with the colors underneath, and we're going to work on that to our advantage there. I'm going to just take some more white right here and mix it in with some more blue, and this time I'm going to get just a smidge darker on my sky blue there. And what I'm going to do is right about here I'm going to start to apply. You see how my brush is halfway off this line right here, and then it goes below the bright that I just applied. And I'm just going to take it like this, and then I'm going to slowly move down with my brush, and that's going to blend that color in. And this is going to be a lot of rinse and repeat from now on, going up. And from now on, I'm going to keep doing that white mixture, but add more blue. You want it to get darker as you go higher here. So, again, just like we did where it's halfway on there. So if we're looking at the photo, what I'm going to do is I'm still going to pretend that nothing's going on in the sky, except the minimal cloud shape. That means the overall shape. Because what we're going to do is we're going to start working with what is called an underpainting. And an underpainting is where we start to get the basic shapes, the most basic shapes and color all in one right here. The clouds in here, they start to shift colors as they get towards the horizon line. That's something we're going to address when we get to it. Right now we're just going to do an overall shape. This overall shape is going to be kind of that gray color that you see here. So I'm going to start mixing my colors here. I'm going to start to make kind of a darker gray here. Now, how you can kind of get around not being able to use black in landscape, because there's no black in landscape painting, I'm going to use my complementary colors. Now, right here I have blue. How I can get a kind of a dark-ish gray here is I'm going to take this mixture of blue that I have right here, and I'm going to mix my complement in it. And my complement of blue is orange. So I'm going to make some, and it's doing it right there for me. You're kind of getting a purple. That's fine. Take a little white. And there we go. That's the mix that I want right there. Kind of a, you could say it's a light purple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of feather these into my canvas here. And feathering is where I kind of like brush it just very, very lightly, okay? So as I'm applying it to my canvas, I'm going to start, I'm going to look up at the corner right here, and I'm going to work my way down like this, alright? So I'm going to start here and I'm just going to feather it. And it's going to blend with that blue, so I'm going to have to keep reapplying right here. I'm just going to take it back down just like that. A little more. Mix a little more there to get it. Reapply as I go. Now, with my underpainting, I want to try to get one overall color, but with the mixing process that I do and my dirty brush, it's going to be a little difficult. You know what? That's okay. That's totally okay. But if it bothers you, just wash your brush, okay? Again, this is all, you can pause this video anytime you want. This is all literally just online. This is on YouTube. You can pause it, you can let this dry so it doesn't mix. I just prefer not to let it dry. I like the way it mixes. I think that it's got a good overall tone that way. I've always been that way with my paintings. Now I'm slowly getting that in there. I'm going to take it all the way across here. And I'm even going to go down into this. But right now, actually, as I'm looking at it, kind of looks very mountain-esque. But I'm just feathering it on there. I'm going to define it once I get to my last stage, which is my detail stage. Right now, this is still the underpainting stage. It's pretty wicked. Okay, now as I go up here, you can see that it kind of starts to get just a little violet in my hue right there. So I'm going to take some violet with my sky blue mixture. Just plot that right on there. Now I'm going to add a little more white in here to kind of give that brightness to it. It's going to be right in here, right in that violet mixture that I just did. And I'm going to just do the same technique, only I'm going to kind of keep it less restrained for just a couple spots here and there. Alright. Got the underpainting of my cloud right there. Alright, so what we've done so far, just a nice little review here. We've applied our wash, an orange wash. We applied our sky and how our sky goes from light to dark as we go up. And we started the underpainting of the clouds. Again, this is all building it up. I'm not going to just paint the clouds right away. They got to be built up. So I've actually switched my brush up here. So if you have a medium-sized brush that you want to use, please go ahead and grab that. This is my medium-sized brush here. But usually when I say medium, you know the standard size that we use in the classroom. If you were one of my 5th graders, medium size is what we were working on with our underpainting. But whatever works for you, I guess. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this top cloud right here, and I'm going to look at how there's a white kind of top right there, and then there's a dark shadow underneath it. I'm going to go try to find the shadow with some blue, and I'm going to take some red, maybe a hint, and yeah, some orange right there. So you can see I get kind of a muddy purple right there. And I'm going to apply this just underneath this white spot. I'm going to plot it, and what you're going to realize, you're going to have to do a lot of plotting here. A lot of dabbing, you would say. Oh gosh, I can't believe I just said that. A lot of dabbing, and that's going to not mix with the paint so much underneath. Then take just a smidge of white that I had right on here, put it on the tip of my brush here, and just lightly dab on top. There, you can see that cloud is starting to form a little bit, starting to get more definition. It doesn't just look like a bunch of random colors on top of each other. I've taken a little blue and I've added it to my palette right here. So now what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to make it dark green. Now, think about it. 5th graders. 5th graders, landscape painting people that just were in my class. How do we make it dark green? Well, I'm going to take some blue, I'm going to take some yellow to get my green. Now it's kind of a mucky green right there, that's totally fine. It's mixing with the colors in the brush. Now I need to think, what is the complementary color of green? Waiting for someone to say red. I knew you knew it. Take some red, I'm going to mix it right in here. I'm going to get my dark green right there. Perfect. Now, I'm going to go below the horizon line and everything is going to be dark green. It's going to blend with that orange. And what we're going to do is we're just going to pick back up working on this ground right here, and I want to get a good dark green. Yellow, and look, I've had a break, so now my paint's dry. So that should make for mixing paint a heck of a lot easier. Okay, there's a good dark green right there, even though. And some red. There it is. Good and dark right there. I'm going to actually... I'm going to start stippling in the trees here. And as you see on the picture, that right about here we have kind of a circular tree, 2 pointy pine trees, and then we have another one that goes way up in here. So I'm just going to kind of do an underpainting of the tree line. And if we're looking along, so it's right here, trees go up again, and then circle right here. I'm going to start with the trees in the background. I'm going to kind of just stipple them in. They might be dark, just like that. My phone just vibrated. Mr. Reich said he wants to be on this one day. Hogging the spotlight. He's always hogging the spotlight. Stippling it in right here. See how I'm kind of tapping it right on. Bueno, sweet. All right. Now I'm going to start slowly layering it here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brush, I'm going to work yellow into this mix. Just yellow. And that's going to brighten this up just a little bit. Just kind of give us like an olive green more so. And I'm going to work on getting those pine trees right there. Now they don't go too high. They're about this big right here. And I'm going to just, still stippling, I'm going to kind of just work it in right there. All right. And you can see, just because it's just a smidge brighter, it appears that it's closer. It appears that it's closer in perspective to you. Stippling in that side, that tree. Awesome. Again, these look like they're closer to me. What I'm going to do though is, if we're looking at it, we can see some darks in there that we need to address. So I'm going to take a smidge of red and I'm going to mix it in. Get my dark green right there. You can see the difference right there. And I'm going to just kind of take my brush this way. I'm just going to kind of do some of these kind of lines right in there. Just like that. Same thing right there. Then I'm going to go back on top of it with the yellow. I'm going to remix some yellow back into there. And I'm going to do the same process that we did. Just apply it in there like that. Just like that. Alright. Now it starts to give like that appearance of like texture of the pine needles, of the branches and stuff like that. I'm going to redo this bad boy though. It did not come out the way that I wanted it to. See that? I didn't say I didn't like it. I said it didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to, but I'm going to go in and fix it because I'm human and I make mistakes. And that is okay. Because in painting, we've gotten these two pine trees right in front. Now we're going to work over here. We're going to apply that more circular tree right here that you see that goes about this high. I'm going to kind of start over on top of my mix right here. Yellow and blue. Make my green. Add some red. Added a little too much red. There we go. That's a good one right there. To kind of the underlying base of it, just stipple it in, stipple the shape in. I'm going to go a little taller. There we go. And right around, I'm going to take it right to the horizon line. Sweet. So we've addressed those trees that are right there in the foreground right there. We kind of just got the overall feel. We're still working in the underpainting stage right here. What we're going to do is we're going to start working on applying this so it is closer, it appears closer, which means we got to add a little more green on top, more of this olive green right there. Then we're going to apply the tree right there before we finally move on to the detail stage where we work with a smaller brush. So I'm actually just going to mix a good green with my dirty brush. I'm going to kind of stipple it just right in there. And every once in a while I'm just going to spread it. Stipple, spread, spread. It needs to be a little yellower. So I'm going to take some yellow and add it in there. There it is. It's starting to appear that the grass is now forward to you right there. We're going to move on to this tree right here. Now we can see this tree is pretty bright, but I'm going to start with a dark. And I'm going to go about it the same way. Now we can see more details. We can see more branches, more leaves. And this one, I'm going to just kind of just gesturally follow the shape as I go along. I'm going to go all the way down, work my way up here. Kind of bows out like this. Yep. Okay. Then just a little green, little red to my green there, just to get a darker variation in the contrast. Now, there are some thick spots that I want you to look for. Right there, kind of right there. Just look for that. Okay. We have our basis for that tree. We have our underpainting done. This is really where you can start to really bring out the darks and the lights though. And it gives trees, bushes, stuff like that more personality, more life. I'm gonna take some red and some green here, just like that. One mistake that I see a lot of people do when they work with a small brush is they press way too hard. They press it and they basically slop it right on there. We don't want to do that. We want to press really delicately here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start to work on these areas in this tree. Always work darkest to lightest. So, I'm going to go in and I'm going to just kind of plot. And I'm going to stipple it in there. Just right on top. Now you see how my mixture before was very red heavy. This one's very green heavy. And I'm kind of just scraping my brush right across it, just like this. Just like that right there. Defining, defining. Oops, a little too hard right there. And then I'm gonna throw that in just to define. Easier transition in right there. Okay. Now we need to lighten this up, so I'm gonna take this mixture right here. I'm gonna throw some yellow into it. It's gonna brighten it up. We're gonna get back to that olive green. And I'm gonna literally, in these empty spaces, I'm just gonna hardly with any weight, kind of stipple it in right there. And those empty spots. And that starts to give a little more form. If I'm going too dark, I can always add some red back in there just to wait it out a little bit. Those trees are done. So now, let's go to the bushes that are right in front there. And these bushes are kind of covered up in the picture by the unfinished fence. I'm going to treat these bushes like the trees there, where I started dark and I layered it on top, and they're going to be right in front of them. So, I'm just going to kind of stipple a dark green right along, and it goes right along this right here. now, take my yellow, just to lighten that up a little bit. I'm going to stipple those in right there. Not too much. This one I had a little too much, so I need to restrain myself. I got a little too happy with applying that paint right there. See how fast and how quick I'm moving? It's just like I don't have to get every spot perfect. It's my favorite part about painting. It's just favorite part about art. You don't need to get it perfect. Just a little texture to this guy right there. Just a little, not a lot. I'm going to work up the tree right here, but I'm going to work with a bright because this one's the closest to us, and which means it would be the brightest. So I'm just going to keep stippling it just like this, right along the top there. You know what I'm not used to doing is I'm not used to painting without music going on. I'm trying to think who would I be listening to right now. I don't know. Most of you probably said he'd probably be listening to the Beatles. Probably. I probably would put on the Beatles. But when I paint, I don't like to have music that takes me away too much. Getting that yellow in there right there. That yellowish green, I want it to go on top of these darks so it looks like there's trees in front. Notice how I didn't apply any trunks. I didn't apply any trunks at all here because we didn't see them. So why would I do them? And your brain probably says there's trunks, so I gotta add those trunks in. You don't see it, you don't paint it. Right there. And some more. That stippling, that gives you more definition right there. Really does bring out quite a bit. Went all the way down. You can see the stippling that I applied right there. And down. You can see from my multi-shots here, I have a 3-camera setup. It's Mr. Rodriguez's film school there for you. Probably are going to see a lot of these videos. See, look at the brush strokes that we did there. Gives it such character. It's not defined. You don't need to be Leonardo da Vinci. So you can see right here that we basically just did a painting that was just multiple steps. We did a lot of rinsing and repeating here. So I like to say in my classroom when we're slipping and scoring. We built it up with a wash. The wash is still very apparent in there, and I like that. I like seeing that stuff in my paintings. You might have painted yours a little thicker, a little smoother, whatever works for you. Got our clouds right here that we built up. We're working that alla prima style with this wet background. Then we went in, worked on the ground, layered that in, took a pizza break, came back, defined in those trees. Worked on the stippling with our details. We barely pressed down with the paintbrush as to give these light brush strokes that, you know, brought out your detail. We started out working dark, came lighter, got lighter, got lighter, got lighter. We worked on the details right here in the trees, rinsing, repeating, darks, lights, lights, darks, maybe add a little more lights, and then we went on and we did this right there. So, how did yours turn out? Please, after you obviously write your signature right there because you need to put your name on your artwork, send me some photos. Send them to the Instagram, Mr. Rodriguez Art Room. I'd love to see how you've done. I'd love to see what yours looked like. I hope you enjoyed this. I should be back in a couple days with another one. And yeah, I'll see you around. Have yourself a good one.